Horton, Chair Evan Siegel, Chair Vo, and Chair Huffman present. And appreciate you all being here. Hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving holiday with family and friends. As you'll see on the agenda that was shared with you at the end of last week, we are going to reserve some time today for committee chair reports. I did not really preface that last we met. That's y'all's time to share whatever you think is relevant to your colleagues, myself, the body. So that doesn't have to take any specific form. It's just whatever you might like to share at that time, and I'll try to do that consistently across the time of everybody's chairmanship. And so with that, I think by way of update, I will probably just kind of start with the most kind of meaningful or significant update that we have to share today, and then we'll kind of segue back around to staff and office. But I did want to give the floor to Special Counsel and Director Darby to share with us an update.
So by now, if I have done things accurately, you should have received an email from me at this point alerting you to the fact that, and something you may not have known, I have a contract, it's 4 years, it's coming to an end at the end of this month, and I am going to be heading out into private sector. So December will be my last month here, and gosh, y'all, I didn't mean for this to happen.
You didn't know you'd get this emotional about the Metro Council, did you?
I've been here for 4 years, and I've loved all of it. I've thoroughly enjoyed working with all of you. You're great. Everyone here is great. The council, working with the council has been just a privilege that I didn't ever anticipate that I would ever get to do. Having spent 21 years in the legal department, working with a lot of boards and commissions, worked on one with Quinn at one point, and it's been an honor and a privilege to have been here for 4 years, and I'm gonna help get things in line for my successor. If you have any questions or want to get anything completed before the end of this month, let me know. But I will be heading out. I've got 2 more council meetings, and I look forward to looking at all your lovely faces while I sit up on the dais during that time.
So I appreciate that, Margaret. Thank you for sharing that. We, Margaret does have, I guess, set up to auto send to the full body a message to that same effect, and she was able to share that with staff members individually today. Not all are in office.
Some staff members, not everybody was here today, and so tomorrow I have a staff meeting scheduled where I'll be sharing it with the remainder of the staff members. So.
Yes, tomorrow morning. So I will acknowledge you in just a minute. The contract with the special counsel and director is a 4-year contract that was entered into by my predecessor and does expire on December 31st. And so I appreciate as well Margaret's service. I do want to highlight several things that she was able to support and help effectuate, one of which is coming up, our kind of hiatus that we have effectuated in early January to give both staff and council members a bit of a break and some breathing space. That took some doing, as well effectuating our consolidated consent agenda. Margaret was instrumental in that, and then as well, work that the community or the body does not necessarily always see, but we have brought into executive committee for executive committee's feedback. A lot of standard operating procedures, SOPs in the office, whether around proclamations or scheduling. A lot of those have become kind of formalized into procedure under Margaret's leadership. So we are grateful for that. And then I do want to as well thank and Brian Wilson, who has kindly agreed to step up in an interim capacity in this intervening time. So as Margaret shared, she will be here through December. Brian is a very diligent person. He is always in our meetings, observing closely, helping draft legislation, understands our processes very well, and so we are very fortunate and appreciate Brian's willingness to step into that role in this interim time. And so, Brian, I just want to acknowledge you and thank you if there's anything you would like to say.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'll be brief. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to serve the body in this interim period in this role. I look forward to working with all of you over the next few weeks, and I'm terribly grateful to work with Margaret for the past few years. She has been a joy to work with, and I am just grateful for the time we've been able to spend together.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Brian. Thank you. I appreciate that. Do members of the body committee have any questions or comments? Sorry, Pro Tem, I think had raised her hand first. Go ahead, Pro Tem.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Congratulations, Special Counsel Darby, Director Darby. I just want to thank you so much for the work that you've done with us over the last 4 years. I am reminded of the consolidated consent agenda. First termers don't know the struggle of being in a council meeting consistently all night. So that was just a huge game changer for us with regards to our efficiency and saving us so much time, and that's time that we can't get back, when we're here consistently to 11 and midnight, and that's time where we actually can get out and spend time with our families, and that has just made a world of difference this term. So I want to thank you in particular for that, but also for all of your help and support over my 2 years as budget chair. I mean, just literally being my right-hand person and just going through all of the things that you helped support me through. So now I'm about to cry, so I'm going to stop, and I'll just say thank you so much, and I'm super excited for your opportunity.
Yes. Chair Evan Siegel.
I just had to look and count the number of years, because I was like, it's been many, many years, but 7.5 years we have worked together in some capacity, and we've done a lot in those 7.5 years. I think 25 years is a really long time to be at Metro, and you, I'm sure, have done a lot more than even I know about, but other things that Special Counsel has done is when the Industrial Development Board had a lot of impropriety, she was the one who got in there along with an intern and a staffer and figured out where the money and bodies were all buried and got it all straight and brought it in. She never got recognition for it, but she did effectively serve as the Economic Development Director for the City of Nashville for about 18 months during the time period in which that role was vacant, and she was running everything related to that. We've done some really big deals together that have and will change the city, and you have touched almost every part of the city in 25 years. I want to thank you for that, for making the city better. And we have agreed, we have disagreed, we have had amazing spirited debates. I've always considered you a friend. I hope that Brian is prepared for the spirited debates to come. But the whole city owes you a debt of gratitude, because you have always put the city first.
Thank you, Margaret. I appreciate you. Any other questions or comments relative to Margaret's service in December and the remainder of that time? Go ahead, Chair Huffman.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. First off, Margaret, thank you for your service. It's been a pleasure getting to work with you for the couple of years that we've been able to work together. So just congratulations on whatever venture you do have. My question for Brian in your new role, and congratulations to you too, sir, is who's going to tell me I can't go to the bathroom now? That's the big question.
Something lined up for that.
The quorum, you're alerting to for the general public, I will share that sometimes there is a quorum monitor by the door. If we are about to lose quorum, we ask members to kindly please maybe just wait a little bit before departing. So, yeah, I'm grateful for the December time that we will have to kind of effectuate this interim transition time. From my perspective, the goal would be to have someone hired into this role in early February, such that that person can kind of follow our full legislative cycle, from kind of filing to admin legislation to amendments, to understand that technical process. And so whether that means Brian is definitely on the dais at our second January meeting, our first February meeting, and in fact the third, we'll make sure that we have that that continuity. You know, one of the things that I wanted to elevate to the committee is I looked back kind of through the history of contracting with a special counsel and director. The charter specifically contemplates a special counsel, but it was not until 1976. There was a committee, Mr. Scobie, they brought on a special counsel, then that special counsel, through the contract of Don Jones, was both the special counsel and the director. At the start, y'all, there was a staff of like 1 or 2 people that were contemplated. Obviously, Ms. Hayes Shacklet has been here for many years and helped me early in this term with her historical file of just all those contracts up through the years. Really, only 5 people have ever sat in the seat in which Margaret has sat, and so they have all served very capably and for extended times. I do think it affords us the opportunity at this juncture, because really that contract from 1970 has just been re-upped. And in reaching out and talking to Shannon Hall about this transition, looking for the person to serve as special counsel and or director has always somewhat happened in the background. You know, the vice mayor reaching out, having conversations. And so at this juncture, I am intending to post this position. That has not been done before. And I know that, you know, there are pros and cons to either approach, but I do feel that it's important to cast a broad net and to see what level of interest there is for the role. And so I will begin to discuss that with Ms. Hall tomorrow and confer, you know, with Margaret and Brian as we kind of contemplate that posting. That does sort of dovetail somewhat with the consultancy with Accenture. Because they are going to be looking at our current operational model, our workflows, our volume of work, who's doing what are their specific assignments, and they will greatly benefit from Margaret's input. So we'll get to that sort of next on the agenda, but I did want to point out that this is, I think, a moment of transition, but also opportunity, because again, the council has significantly evolved over the decades, but we have kind of been just, you know, kind of re-upping the way we do things and kind of, you know, bolting great folks onto that train, so to speak. So I am interested to garner the feedback of Margaret, other folks who have sat in this seat before, as Accenture kind of comes up with a proposal for us for a kind of operational model. So with that, I will kind of hold space for us moving to that document that is in front of you still in draft form, and just inquire and invite any other additional comments or questions at this time specific to the transition, Brian's interim role, and as we contemplate the new hire and how we're going to approach that. Ms. Evans-Siegel, go ahead.
sort of mindful that part one will not be totally completed in time for a new hire, and part two will not be close to being completed, depending on how you find close. Is it your expectation that there's some sort of maybe temporary one-year contract for somebody in case something needs to shift as opposed to doing a whole 4 years?
That could be possible. The phasing subsequent to our last conversation is very much compressed, as you all can see on page 5, with those deliverables in early February. So all the deliverables particular to our current state of operations will happen in February. And so while there might be some I can't say that we'll have kind of perfect alignment. And again, I think if we are to post the position, there may be some nod to that this work is in progress, and we'll have to kind of think about that a little bit more. But yes, I don't. We're gonna have time, once they start these interviews in December and January, to understand kind of the trajectory they're on and what that means relative to our time frame for finalizing the job description, posting the position, setting up the interviews, and at what point those happen in January, early February, mid-February, I think remains to be seen. But your point's well made, yes.
Sorry, one additional
Yeah.
question. I don't really know how like Metro HR works. I know I've obviously gone through many
Yes,
interviews for
absolutely.
legal jobs.
Yeah.
And it is interesting. Law firms are very different from in-house jobs, which this is probably more like an in-house job. And I know that HR is experienced in all kinds of jobs, and they obviously probably help with Metro Legal hiring. No, they don't. So I would just point out that as they're doing interviews, it's not just my experience. I hear this a lot from lawyers that when trying to apply for an in-house job, that you're dealing with an HR department that is not super familiar with how practicing law works. And so a lot of the interview questions, screening questions, processes for legal jobs doesn't fit with a typical job. And so I love that they're being involved. I think that can be really helpful to open it up, and I think we should open it up widely and not just to like friends and family, but like I just would throw that out there for them to be cognizant of.
Absolutely appreciate that, and Margaret might be able to share like what we do now. So the mayor's office, our office, relative to like civil service and how HR conducts their processes, we are basically using HR's platform to kind of officially put this out and broadcast it. We conduct that interviewing process internal to our office. So, at present, this is gonna be on our staff updates, but subsequent to Melanie Cruz's departure, moving to Pennsylvania, we are now interviewing for an administrative position. So that was posted by HR. Margaret aggregates all of those, narrows them down. We look at those. She conducts interviews. She gives me that, feedback. So that's a process from a hiring perspective that we have done always as an office internally. But what I will say in my time of service, and I understand sometimes the benefit of that approach, but it has been very much who the vice mayor knows and talks to a few people. It kind of happens in the background, and then come here, and it's sort of fait accompli, and executive committee asks some questions, and then there we are. And so we may achieve sort of a hybrid of that in some regard. I just want to make sure garnering the feedback and the input of those among you who are yourselves attorneys, right? That is valuable insight. So this process is not yet finalized. It is something I have kind of pre-conferred with Ms. Hall in HR about, to understand the history. How has it been done up to this point? How might we approach it differently, and what are the pros and cons of those different approaches? And I welcome your feedback and that of Mr. Kapp, and and Mr. Horton, I apologize, we have 3 attorneys sitting here, 4, 5 attorneys in the room. So, that is still somewhat TBD. Are there any other questions or feedback on that before we move into the proposed scope and phasing of the contract? Welcome any questions or feedback at this time. Okay. All right, so I think we were sort of segueing, Chair Evan Siegel, you were talking about the kind of the first part 1. I know that we had talked about last time the importance, and that is an importance that I have articulated from the start to potential consultants, that is very essential that we bifurcate this process, right? We have no predetermined approach or desire for this to go any particular way relative to the pending legal matter. We are defending our 40-member body. And so any insight, though, that we garner at this juncture for our current state assessment and improvements to our current state will and could inform, should we have to, phase 2, part 2 work, were we to have to change size. But we are not getting ahead of ourselves. We don't want to take that path, and that's why this proposal is now very much more specifically bifurcated into part 1, very compressed here, December to February, and then part 2, which we anticipate, Mr. Kapp, you will remind me, I believe the Tennessee State Supreme Court has said they will take up the case in February.
They said they will try to.
Try to take up the case in February.
Which is for them is very fast.
Yeah, and so I think best case scenario, Margaret has opined on this in legal, is, maybe April, but it could be May, it could be June, but the consultant understands that once there are these front-loaded deliverables particular to our current model, that work will be foundational. It's not time, there won't be kind of redundancy, but there will be a whole other body of work, and the majority of the value of the contract is put into that second part, should we need or have to engage that. And so I just wanted to kind of bring this before you again, to have another turn, another opportunity for feedback and questions before we do kind of sign and finalize this. Margaret has received just this morning the latest turn on that, and so I will be garnering her feedback as well before we kind of move to signing and proceeding. I think in my early conversations with the consultant, as far as kind of fine-tuning this phasing, I think while clear deliverables are very important, and we want to set clear thresholds and clear understanding, I think they understand that there's some nuance in this work, and so there is some kind of built-in flexibility in that regard. So, are there any questions about this document and statement of work? Pro Tem Porterfield.
I don't have a question, just more so of a comment. I know that on the organizational model design and also the scenario planning, they both kind of allude to the what if, and I know that we have to be prepared for any possible outcome. I just want to reiterate that I think it is important to be prepared but we also have a 40-member body, and that
Amen.
we
Yes,
should,
absolutely.
the focus should be around the 40-member body that we have, and if we get a ruling that is not in our favor, then we can deal with it at that particular time. But I do think that everything, especially all the work that they're front loading, should focus on the current configuration.
I agree, and it will, and I believe they are clear on that. In interviews and conversations that they have, is they understand kind of the workflows and the processes and who on staff does what relative to the size. That knowledge that they're kind of garnering just operationally will, it would inform work if we were. But again, as y'all can see here, very clearly and specifically bifurcated. No, they understand that work may not happen, right? And so we want to plan for it, but there's nothing that says we're gonna do that work unless we have to. Yeah, just wanna not be kind of caught back on our heels and scrambling around, right? We wanna have somebody onboarded that can assist us with that work if we have to do it, is my take on it. Any other thoughts or things to share? I know that you are just seeing this today in this meeting, and I know that many among you rightly want to take a potential closer read of this. So it would be my hope to have this signed and move this forward by the end of this week. So as you kind of contemplate our week where we've shifted committees to Wednesday and council meeting to Thursday, I would ask, as long as it's sort of top of mind with you all, when you go home, if you want to get another look, if you have more questions and feedback, please do try your best to send those to me tomorrow and Wednesday, so that we can make sure that it is incorporated. And if there is feedback from you all that does change how this is written, then I will have it emailed to you again, so that you're confident in having seen the final version of the document. Yes, Ms.
Thank you,
Bell.
Vice Mayor. I just had a question regarding, like, when I was looking at the timeline, the workshop working sessions, is that to be defined, is it with council members, is it with the office?
My thought for that, I have asked them to flesh that out a little bit more, like what would that look like with staff? I anticipate that would be more particular to staff, but I do feel like, a council voice is important in that, as to kind of the asks and the hopes of members, of the support of staff, like what support are members looking for. And so that is still TBD. I think for it to be a constructive convening, respectfully, I would not just like, everybody on council come. I see it as it has been previously discussed, is more internal to the office, mindful of some council member input. Obviously, a lot of the requests of members and suggestions come to me. I can relay that to the consultant, but we can make sure that there is council representation in that. But it is contemplated to be a staff operational convening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Yes, Ms. Porterfield.
A suggestion based on Councilmember Bowe's question. I wonder if it would be helpful for us to set up, I'm thinking anonymous, but maybe it doesn't have to be anonymous, I don't know. But maybe some type of like Survey Monkey or something where we can get the feedback from council members, because everyone may not be comfortable with sharing their feedback. And executive committee is like here, so we'll have the opportunity to give feedback on things, but other council members may not. So maybe if we could have some type of survey sent to council members so that information can go directly to the consultant.
Yes. when I have spoken with the consultant previously, we have contemplated that. Their thought had been speaking to staff, doing this first tier of early interviews would help them inform any questions that they might formulate, right? Like asking the questions to help inform the operational model. And so, but I will circle back with them, Pro Tem, specifically and see if we want that to be, is your ask about maybe just a little more additional insight? Like, would that be a specific deliverable to garner input of all members so that all members feel that they have, they can get their feedback?
I think people
Yep.
should at least be given the opportunity.
Agreed.
You know, they may choose not to participate, but I do think that people should at least like give the opportunity. I think it's very helpful to hear from council members about what they need from the council office. I think sometimes we may not know, like one thing that has kind of come up over the last, I guess I've been on council 6 years now, there are some council members that rely very heavily on council office staff for certain things. And then there are other council members that are extremely independent and they do everything on their own because they may not necessarily know that this is an option or that they can,
I mean, it works, it just doesn't roll.
Okay, you wanna come here? Welcome, welcome.
So sorry.
Go ahead, Pro Tem, no worries, no worries, either here or there, either where you like to be, a little more space here.
yeah, so anyway, just some council members rely very heavily on the council office, other
Yes.
council members are very like independent. And maybe they would rely more heavily if they knew that certain like options were available, a menu of services, if you will. But I just think that it would be great to give council members like the opportunity, because I think that like staff are the ones that are here like doing the day-to-day, so what they say and feel is like extremely important. And also, we need the office to function in a way that it is like accessible and meaningful for council members and constituent services. So I feel like you can't have one without the other.
Yep, I appreciate that. I will go back to the consultant and ask about kind of itemizing that as a specific kind of deliverable or engagement point for all members of the body. So, good point, thank you. Yes, Mr. Cash?
I agree, I think that's vital, and not to put too many layers onto it, but also if there's kind of an opportunity beforehand to provide questions or to provide, areas of questions, or on the survey itself, there be something kind of open-ended but explicitly stating, like, if there's anything that if there's anything that this survey hasn't given
Yeah.
you an opportunity to communicate about.
Any questions you
yeah,
wish we had asked you,
correct,
basically?
correct,
right?
or
Okay.
any area of concern or praise,
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah, points well made, thank you. Okay, for sure, incorporate that. Any other questions or suggestions relative to this draft proposal? Yes, Chair Beth?
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. I just wanted to also ask about the like cost criteria. When you break it down here, I mean, I just feel like these are large sums that are kind of blanket. And I think that anytime we are using funds, that are taxpayer, how do we actually like explain? So they could just break down further, like the sessions, like, like what their fees. I think that would just be helpful.
Yes.
And when I look at this.
Any other questions, suggestions? Okay, again, please do read this closely. Your questions and suggestions are very, very welcome. This evening, tomorrow, Wednesday, about would be ideal to kind of set a threshold on that, just to make sure so that we can kind of get this going, right? Because we are now much like this consultancy, but ourselves on a bit of a compressed timeline, right? We don't want Brian have to be in a perpetual interim capacity. We're targeting February, understanding that, we'll have some flexibility there if needed. So, yes, pro
I
tem.
just saw
Yes.
the light bulb go
Yeah.
off. So one thing that we often fight for is like employee pay. It's like, will he be able to get increased pay during the time of interim so that, because he's having an increased responsibility?
Yes, increased
Okay, thank you.
responsibilities. Brian and I discussed that today, yes,
Okay,
and
thank
I
you.
understand that to have been the precedent when Hannah Zeitlin similarly served in that capacity, and so we've just kind of formalized this and Brian's kind agreement to serve in this capacity today, and so we've not gotten those details, but I appreciate you elevating that, absolutely. That is important, so thank you, Pro Tem. All right, let's see, okay. Moving now, you've got a handout here related to deadline schedule adjustments. Obviously, two of these have passed somewhat, but the amendments deadline, chairs, is tomorrow at noon. And then looking ahead to January, you see the deadlines that we have here with that meeting being the 20th. Be advised that Monday is a holiday. We are gonna try to find the document that we created at the start of this term that had all the compressed Tuesdays where we have a Monday holiday. We also aggregated all the 5 Tuesday months, and that lives in a document somewhere that we can't find, but we know we've created, so we'll push that out to you. But just be advised that that January 20th does have that Monday holiday, which, yes. And Margaret, did you want to be
I
recognized?
just wanted to add something, going back to the meetings this week,
Yes.
and the deadlines. Just also note.
MLK Day, Monday in January.
Yes,
Sorry.
I apologize.
We thought you meant this upcoming Monday.
No, I apologize. Monday,
January
January
19th,
19th, thank you.
2026.
Yep.
For the committee meetings on Wednesday this week, just make sure you look at your schedule because there are a lot of changes. So we've got public health and safety meeting at 3:15.
Yes, thank you for elevating that, that's on my
And we have
list.
switched,
Yeah.
oh, it is on the list, sorry, I didn't know
No,
that.
that's no worries, that's fine.
Switched budget and finance with planning and zoning because of the amendments coming through the planning and zoning and the need to potentially go longer for questions and discussion.
Yeah, no, I appreciate everybody's flexibility and that flip so that we don't need to have a hard stop running into budget as happened last time. So that appreciate staff's flexibility and everybody's willingness to kind of shift that around. As you all know, Karina remains your primary contact for committee scheduling, timing, special guests, handouts that you want to provide to committee, information that you want to send to your committee's awareness. We elevated it last time with kind of scheduling reminder sheet, info sheet. But Ms. Valdez does still ask please to be on the lookout for that Friday email with the administration legislation. That Tuesday deadline comes around real fast, and if all of you all do not respond to Ms. Valdez until Tuesday, that really puts a lot of pressure on her right there at that deadline. So to the extent possible over the weekend or Monday morning, if you can kind of habituate that review into your kind of workflow, that would be very helpful to Ms. Valdez. One other thing that I will mention, Karina does also manage the kind of Metro Council resources page. And so we are going to set up on the back end of National League of Cities a SharePoint there. I attended, and I appreciate several among you who were able to attend a lot of really high-value educational sessions relative to AI, data centers. There was a really excellent presentation related to public comment and public hearing that I was able to go ahead and pre-send to Margaret and Brian and Sammy and Metro Legal. But you know, we can't all be, even though we do when we are there with multiple members, try to, oh, are you going to this session? I'm going to that session. What did you learn? But we can't all be everywhere all the time. And so I will be asking Elizabeth to kind of pull down those resources out of that NLC app. So subsequent to any particular session, sometimes there's a resource or information sheet, the PowerPoint slides are in this app. So we're gonna kind of pull that stuff down and put that in that SharePoint folder, and then we will share it with the entire membership. Any you know, brochures, booklets that you found were helpful when you attend, we try to incorporate those into our resource library. So those among you who were able to attend, you know, if there's any particular thing you want to elevate that you thought was really helpful, but we will really try to kind of just pull all that stuff down. You know, we won't just have it be a massive dump. I mean, it's, if a member attended, thought it had value, want to share it with the membership, we'll try to do that. So Karina will create that on the resources page. Be advised and reminded, you still have your committee resource folder. So, you know, if somebody comes and gives a presentation, shares something, you're gonna wanna put that over into your committee resource folder. Okay, with that, speaking of, I think we will move on to committee chair reports. Is there anything else, Margaret or Ms. Hayes-Shacklett, that you wanted to share particular to the office or staff? I mentioned briefly the process for the additional administrative hire.
Yeah, we're getting close to making a recommendation for someone to be hired, so narrowed it down.
Yep.
Interview, reference checks, so got two promising candidates.
Glad to hear it, that's great. Ms. Hayes has sent everybody the elevator email. They're gonna be working on the elevators, so members are gonna be maybe getting their steps in, but there are other elevator alternatives, so thank you. Ms. Hayes, I think you'll also maybe be sending an email today, tomorrow about our holiday parades that we have coming up for council.
Having a little bit of problem with one of them. They didn't go out today, but it'll go out in the morning, I think after probably 9 o'clock.
Okay, appreciate
Supposed
that.
to get with you today.
And one other thing I just wanted to elevate to you all by just sort of basic process. Maria Calder is gonna be sending out to council a bit of an update on the kind of travel, educational opportunities process. You know, like when we come back from NLC, obviously that's a time when people are, you know, kind of processing some reimbursements. And so I did want to propose, we have sort of these approved travel and educational opportunities. He might include it by way of his update, but Chair Horton attended the Tennessee Walk Bike Summit, right? I mean, that's right here in Tennessee, so that's low cost, high value. I would like us to add that to our kind of list of approved. We have a variety of Tennessee Municipal League events that we've added, but as well, I wanted to propose that we add the Power of 10 annual summit that Cumberland Region Tomorrow does. And also the Think Tennessee Annual Policy Forum. Again, those are low cost, local, high educational value. And so, you know, this list used to kind of just be like, you know, travel, but I really think of it as educational, like it has to have a strong nexus with our policy work. So within the travel policy, if you all have a kind of one-off that you want to go to, you think it has high educational value, that will support your policy work, I can, in my authority, kind of improve that individually. But when I start to see a sort of pattern of members attending, we might as well operationalize it into sort of the pre-approved list. And so if you all have any suggestions that are similar to Walk Bike Summit, Power of 10, Policy Forum locally, some of those, please do send those my way. And then when Maria sends us out, we'll sort of list those as proposed, and then we can kind of be definitive about it the next time we meet. But in the meantime, if anybody has something like that, I'm happy happy to approve it. So that was the last thing I had on my list before we segue into committee reports. Chair Cap, I'm just gonna go in order and then I'll circle back to you, Pro Tem, at the end. I'm just gonna go alpha here. Anything to update from a charter revision committee perspective?
Nothing breaking, but just a reminder that we've got a meeting scheduled on January 7th for updates. So Metro Legal will be with us for general updates and timeline stuff. Probably won't have a ton of new information at that time, but it will be an opportunity for everybody to ask questions, and so look forward to that. And I guess that'll be under Brian's watch, January 7th.
Okay,
What time?
I will tell you.
Oh, it's okay.
that can be found on your
It
Outlook
is,
legislative calendar.
I have it it's at 5 o'clock in my calendar, but it might actually be 6.
Let's go to the Outlook legislative calendar, which we all have on our phones, right, y'all?
Yes.
And scroll.
5, okay,
It's not on my
5
calendar,
o'clock.
but.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There it is, okay. All right, Chair Cash, anything you want to share with us?
Just a couple of things I'll share. We had a couple of meetings that there was some high interest in, one about a resolution that we won't get into, but another where we interviewed, a rarity, we interviewed nominees for a judgeship. And earlier it was said, and it came to mind, earlier there was talk about lawyers interviewing lawyers. And I was very thankful to have Councilmember Prepty and Councilmember Toombs there, because they did a great job of
Watch that replay again.
asking the right questions. And I was worried about how long it would go, and it maybe went a little long, but we got out in time, and I think not only that, but I think we had thorough interviews and got a good sense of the different candidates. We've had a couple of rule changes that were before us.
Is there one pending still now?
There's
that
one
had the
still
automatic
pending,
referral?
yeah, there's
Okay.
one still pending, I think, about zoning, public hearing. But and there's been some interest in trying to shorten meetings, like that there's concern, it kind of goes back to the consent agenda that helped. And we've done a couple of things with an eye towards shortening our meetings. However, I want us to be cautious that we don't want to sacrifice voices or, kind of power, going back to a rule change that would have made it very difficult for anybody to move anything on first reading.
Right.
I think I don't want us to give up too much.
For the viewing public's awareness, the proposal was that no honorary or memorializing resolutions, they must all have been proclamations. And so that did fail by vote, and I know you had extensive debate about it.
Yeah, and I was also talking about the rule change earlier that Councilmember Benedict put forth that was, it kind of made it very difficult for any other council member to move it. And we had good discussion about that. I've been to a couple of boards and commissions just to kind of get a sense of, try to inform myself about, better understand what's going on in some of the less viewed or lesser known, or so I'm gonna continue to learn more about those, either by visiting or by watching some on the Metro National Network,
Everybody tune in
which
on
works
YouTube.
hard, the team that works hard to make sure that everyone can see those meetings. And also, I want to say we've continued to give out WeGo cards to potential nominees and interviewees. The way I've announced is a little bit different from the previous chairs, in that they don't have to, we have them to offer, and they don't have to use them that day, and it's not a parking pass or WeGo and at some point I'd like to kind of make that a little more institutional.
Incorporate that into
yeah.
our budget.
Yeah.
Yes, appreciate that.
But thank you.
Okay, thank you for that update. Next, Chair Hill, for government operations and regulations. Any update what you're seeing there in committee and working on?
A couple things. One, there's a couple of big things coming through for DEC. So there'd be some things for people to watch. And other than
That's
that,
the district energy.
no, that's Department of Emergency Communications.
Department of Emergency Communications, not to be confused with the DES, which
Yes.
is the District Energy System, which also comes through your committee, so,
Yep.
yes.
Which-
Acronyms, always reminding chairs,
Yes.
when you were on the dais or in your meeting, watch those acronyms.
Right, that's the
Even
old
I
mi-
don't, right?
That's the old military in me. Nobody
No,
spells
that's-
anything. Everything's an
That's
acronym.
right, understood.
And so that's the only really big things that I've got going on with that, but the other big thing is as chair of District Energy Advisory Board, I've realized that it's not broadcast. And I would like to see what we can do, number one, to make sure that it's added to the Nashville network, so the people can watch that and be more involved.
The roster,
And then encourage anybody who wants to come and see the budget, see where the money goes. Each one of the people presents, it's about an hour meeting, once a quarter to see what money is spent, what the cost of fuel is, where everything goes. And the other thing I would really love to push is get some interest in some people to start taking some tours of the plant, so you can just see, what goes on there, how things go. And as another big plug, if anybody knows any school-age girls that would love to have a tour, I would personally love to take somebody or a group of somebody's over there, either on a weekend or any day during the week, during Christmas break or some holiday that somebody has time off and have an opportunity to go, or maybe we could schedule something on a Saturday and Sunday to start getting some girls involved in engineering and believe that they can do everything that everybody else can do.
I appreciate that. Ms. Darby, do we have kind of a running list of whether by members or otherwise the community of stuff that's in the queue from a boards and commissions perspective to be recorded and broadcast? Like, does that sort of live somewhere? I know we provided feedback to the administration, the boards and commissions that council members, watch or are more engaged in, or maybe there's some contentious things happening and folks wanna kind of tap into that. Is
I
that,
don't know that a specific list has been given.
Okay.
But I know that the request has been made for more boards and commissions to be recorded and streamed. And this all, it all goes back to a couple of issues. The reason why not all are recorded and streamed is location, bandwidth, and resources, or I guess all those are resources, but human resources.
Yeah.
So staffing resources. And so that, because of that, a lot of the places where boards and commissions are meeting are not able to be recorded.
Yeah.
Because if they're meeting, off-site somewhere, I don't know if DES is one of those where it meets, maybe at DES or something, but that's off-site.
Yeah.
M&N has to pick up all of their equipment and travel out there and set up, and it's a big ordeal. So it's a lot of staff and equipment time that gets dedicated to one meeting. Not that it shouldn't, but it's just a resources issue, which all comes back to a monetary
Is
issue.
it possible, because I do know that it's broadcast via Zoom, is it possible for that to just be recorded and then uploaded to our network?
That would be a question for M&N.
potentially, and Margaret, can you relay that question and then let's sort of put on our list? I would be interested, I imagine that MNN has, right? Like, these are the ones that are in this space, that are recorded, that are remote. I think this is a concern of the body and the community that we have elevated to the administration. We understand what some of the challenges are. I had anticipated we might see, whether in a capital spending plan or just kind of operationalize, like an additional venue. I'm looking at Chair Evan Siegel, who represents us on the Traffic and Parking Commission, where I serve, Mr. Horton, same room, right? Like, that's that one room that's kind of pre-set up. I would assert that Metro maybe needs another one of those rooms, that is just pre-set to go, click, click, and go. And so I think, we've been talking about this term, we've elevated that concern, and I think we wanna see how that's gonna kinda come to bear operationally, whether budgetarily, with MNN, from a staffing perspective, or on the capital side of the house to have the actual physical space to do that. But if we could maybe use Chair Hill's request as a segue kind of back into that conversation to see what exists, just specifically kind of as a roster of sorts, right? Like what
Because
is
it's
broadcast live,
held over in a
what's
sunny room
recorded.
over at Howard School. And I don't know that there's a big issue if we moved over here, where we meet at.
When does it meet?
It's the third Thursday of the third month of every, I'll send out a schedule. It's once a quarter and it's the third Thursday of that month.
So, I would also add, I know sometimes boards and commissions use these rooms, and I know that can get tricky, cause we have stuff, but that these rooms are all pre-set up.
Right, and then I think the challenge, as is for us, is for members of the public to attend, it can be a little challenging to be cramped into this space.
Also,
Go ahead.
they're pre-set up, but they still have to be staffed. MNN still
Yes.
has to
Has
have
to have
someone
somebody.
on site to
There is
staff.
a very nice MNN person staffing this
Yes.
right now.
Yes.
Thank you. So, I'm gonna go a little out of order, for Pro Tem, you're recognized, go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Sorry, everybody, I have to run out to another meeting. Just a couple of quick updates. Thank you for everyone that volunteered, this month. I'm trying to organize a community service project for council members, like one per month, to give us just the opportunity. We individually, we do a lot of service, we do a lot of giving back. We haven't had as many opportunities to do that as a body, and I think that the work that we do is very hard and sometimes contentious, and I think that it will be very beneficial for us to just have some opportunities to serve with each other. So thank you for everyone that was able to come out to the Second Harvest Food Bank. We had multiple days of council members coming out and council staff. Director Darby came out. Some of the council members brought their family members. Vice Mayor was out. We also had volunteers that were able to do some volunteer work at the branch. So again, thank you to all the council members, the staff and family who.
And the store.
And
as
the
well.
store, excuse me, thank you. Councilmember Vo
Yeah.
orchestrated the
Yeah.
store, so thank you, Councilmember Vo, for doing that. But it is my intentions for us to have one for every month. So we will have one for the month of December around the Christmas holiday. I'm still finalizing the details about that, but once I have those details, I'll make sure that you all get an email. And also, I'll be the point of contact for the Antioch Parade, which Ms. Rosie's sending out information tomorrow about the parade, so I'll wait until that information is sent out, but I'll be the point of contact for that particular parade, because Councilmember Sepulveda cannot be in attendance.
As well, she's out of town as well, I believe, but that's a very fun parade. We were observers of it last year.
Yes.
A lot of really great energy. It's a fun one.
And I can help you. I am leaving my work retreat early, so I asked, and so I can help you.
For the Antioch
For
parade?
Antioch.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yes. Dual coordination.
And then one last thing, I know sometimes committee meetings run over when we are in the announcement period. So the announcement period tends to go like pretty short sometimes because people are still like in committee meetings. So if there's ever an announcement that you want, but you know that you will likely be in committee, if you can just like have it printed out or write it out and leave it for me on the dais or with my name on it so that I know it's for me to make the announcement, or put it in my hand so that I physically know that you would like me to announce this. I'm more than happy to make announcements on behalf of colleagues who are not able to be in there for announcements.
Appreciate that, Susan. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see. Next, Mr. Horton, update from planning and zoning, please.
Two
Thank you,
of
Mr. Howard.
the housing and infrastructure bills are in front of the committee on Wednesday. As the vice mayor mentioned, to allow sufficient time for discussion, we've switched with the budget committee as far as timing goes, so we don't inconvenience any other committee by going over.
Okay, I appreciate that, yeah. So we'll have more time for that, discussion. Okay, anything you wanna share about the Tennessee Walk Bike Summit? Did you find that to be valuable?
It was a good event and
Yeah.
definitely recommend it for next year for everybody.
Great, thank you. Mr. Huffman, Chair, Public Health and Safety, you're recognized.
Just a few updates from me. First off, we're starting a work group that focuses on interpersonal violence.
Working group,
Working group,
ING, yeah.
working group,
Yeah.
thank you, ma'am. The first meeting for that's gonna be on December the 9th in this room, Committee Room 1 at 2 p.m. So if you have an interest in that, please stop by. We've got a good group that I think is generally interested to begin with, so should be very good. I look forward to reporting back on what we come up with. Also, I'm trying to really focus on getting one good speaker a month in committee pertaining to public health and safety. We had the Public Safety Alliance last month talking about some statistics from a recent survey that they did. We've got Jill Fitchard from the Community Review Board coming in this month. So we've got a couple that are in play that I'll let Karina know when they're more solidified. But if you can think of any too, please feel free to mention to me. Would definitely like to fill that schedule up. Got about 4 or 5 slots. Outside of that, one thing that I'm personally working on for the committee is getting a consent agenda sent out ahead of time. That's not historically something that the Public Health and Safety Committee's done. I'm really trying to do that just because I think it's good practice and it's just fair to the members. I don't know if all committees do that, but I just want to throw that out there as just something that I've been working on.
I appreciate that. Margaret, can you kind of opine on that? Because I know it's been handled a variety of ways for some of the lengthier agendas. When I was chair of Public Works, I would work that out with staff ahead of time, and I would kind of pre-look at the agenda and contemplate. Of course, any member can pull something off of consent, but sort of, once you've been chair for a while, you kind of can anticipate what is likely to have some discussion, what in your capacity as chair you believe needs discussion, right? And sometimes things are not necessarily obvious, but within your awareness, you think it's a good touch point for some discussion. So Margaret, can you sort of speak to how to effectuate that ahead of time? Go ahead, please.
I can, thank you. We usually leave it up to each chair's discretion. Typically, budget and finance and planning and zoning have had pre-prepared consent agendas such that staff has time to mark up the consent, the committee report before it's delivered so that everybody can have a copy of it. And we get those in advance, and we need those in advance. We need them at least the morning of your committee. I believe a little bit earlier is better. I think budget and finance, for instance, we get that on Friday before the Monday meetings. So I believe we're working on that still a little bit with transportation and infrastructure right now to get that coordinated. And I'm not sure if Chair Horton is doing that with Karina or Matt about getting a consent agenda in advance. But it's nice to have, if you receive those committee reports that have, consent highlighted in yellow and then amendments are highlighted in green. We started doing that again. We started doing that recently this year so that it's easier. I mean, honestly, I do it. I asked for it to be done for me so that it's easier for me to tell when I'm flipping through pages that there's an amendment. It's not just another consent item. So those are the two color differentiations. Consent would be in yellow highlight and amendments and substitutes would be in green. But if any other member wants to do that on their for their consent agenda or their committee report, we're happy to undertake that and have them printed out in color that way. But typically they are the longer meetings, so GovOps and Arts is pretty short. The legislative matters that are usually on Rules Committee is pretty short. Rules Committee goes for quite some time because of all of the interviews, but the legislative items are pretty short. So typically it's the Monday committees that have chosen to undertake and utilize that.
But, for those Tuesday committees, every now and then there is a parts thing, and boy howdy, there are a whole lot of like grant approvals or acceptances. And so, Chair, in your capacity in that moment, having reviewed it ahead of time, but not necessarily with staff, you can articulate a proposed consent onto the record, afford your members the opportunity to pull anything off if needed, and you can sort of effectuate that in real time. Public Works, Planning and Zoning, sometimes you as well, Mr. Huffman, with a whole bunch of grant acceptances, or you're just knowing like, ooh, this one's gonna be a meaty debate, and maybe some of these grant acceptances, so, sort of managing that agenda. So to the extent that you wanna do that ahead with staff or in the moment, please do contemplate that, because then that will afford you more time for kind of the meat of your discussion. And so thank you, Margaret, for that feedback, and thank you, Mr. Huffman, for the question by way of the end of your report. And next is Chair Evan Siegel. You are recognized.
Thank you. The biggest thing that I think is going to affect all of our lives the most is that in February, a lot of trash days are changing. If you were in the GSD or an apartment building, this does not affect you, but if you were in the USD and you get Metro waste or recycling pickup, there will be a change in trash days. Waste Services had some maps for us last time. It's gonna make a lot more sense for a lot of people. Certain areas are staying the same. They like their day is good with them. We have tried to be mindful about who needs a new day. For example, Antioch is often on Fridays. There are more Friday holidays than anything, so they get Saturday pickup, so they actually end up missing a bunch of trash days. So we're gonna move a lot of Antioch to Tuesday. It's either Monday or Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday. But everybody should look at the map. It's color coded.
Information that Matt Purvis, on behalf of Waste
Purvis.
Services, sent to the entire
Yes.
body, right, to use in your newsletters and on social
Yep.
media. Yep.
It's not happening until February, so there is plenty of time to look at it, digest it, see where in your district is changing. Obviously, we need to let people know it's changing. We're gonna leave stickers on all of their Waste Services bins. But even people whose days are not changing, so like my neighborhood is apparently not changing, but like I can assure you, I'm gonna have like 10 neighbors stop by my front porch while I'm out in the yard and be like, so what's my new trash day? And I'm gonna have to be like, it's the same one.
It's the same. It's not changing.
Yeah, I think Councilmember Cash, I can only imagine how many questions you're gonna have, and the answer is gonna be, it's the same. But so that is gonna be a really heavy PR lift for everybody, and so I'm gonna be like a broken record reminding people about this because change is hard. And changing our trash days is hard. It is not happening during Christmas. Like, I have made sure recycling will continue to be picked up as is because
I maybe wouldn't tell anybody till January,
Yeah.
honestly. Like people's
Like,
bandwidth
that's
right
the thing.
now, they're gonna be
Just
like, what do
don't-
you mean you're changing the
Yeah.
trash day at Christmas? It's like, no, it's not happening yet. It's February.
Yeah, and so there are gonna be some people, because as it rolls out, I think my understanding is there may be a missed recycling pickup or two, but like in certain areas, not like nobody's missing two total, but you know what I mean? Like some, because if you move from a Wednesday to a Thursday, if you're a Friday to a Tuesday, there could be like a miss, but, and we all have lots of cardboard during the holiday season, so it is not happening this year, it's happening next year. People are gonna start to hear about it, cause it's gonna be everywhere, and so just be prepared, study up.
But remember, we won't have to do all on the holiday weeks where we have a Monday holiday and
That's
the
right.
Yes.
Thursday comes along and the trash isn't picked up and they're like, why? Right, we won't have as much of that, right?
It'll be an improvement, I think, for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be, having a 4-day week instead of a 5-day week is gonna mean that we all get our trash picked up during the week when there's a holiday, so that is huge. The other thing that is really important, is that if you kind of look at the map now where all our vendors pick up, it's very like discombobulated. It looks like a Tetris board, but we're really gonna like zone it out, and so it should be much easier on missed routes. Like if you're somebody who has a lot of missed routes because you've got multiple operators operating in the area, like this is going to make it much easier for us to track and be like, okay, this is the entity doing this whole area on this day, and we know that this group is missing, whereas it gets really hard, like, just again, my neighborhood, there are a bunch of different operators and a bunch of misses, and then we can't audit it and we can't get that money back, so this will be a big cost savings to us and service improvement in the long run. So there's a lot going on obviously with infrastructure, but that's the one that's really gonna cause us a lot of communication.
Yeah, appreciate Mr. Purvis coming to your committee and sharing all that information with council, and so maybe we'll push that reminder again in January out to everybody
It's
for the
about-
content.
Yeah, about 3/4 of the population live in the USD now. A lot of them live in apartments, so they're not getting pickup, but it is still a significant portion of the county population that's gonna be affected.
All right, anything else to share as far as your committee work there?
I think everything else is joint, we did just do a big choose how you move, allocation, so if you, I think everybody in here, sat in on those meetings, or is a member of a committee that was a part of those meetings, but would encourage folks to look into that. I know we hear a lot about the airport, we just allocated $5 million to buy buses, for that route, so we're trying on our end to do what we can there.
Appreciate that. Chair Bell,
Great, thank y'all.
last but not least, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. And thank you, everyone. Just a few updates. One, last month on November 12th, Metro Arts had their first annual Thrive Reunion. It went really well. It was at the Parthenon, and they were able to showcase so many like Thrive recipients, including like a documentary that was like partially funded. So I think it was just a really great opportunity for artists to feel centered and acknowledged and supported by the city. And then two, second, I had been talking with Free to Move, and after I visited them on the first annual anniversary of the death of Mrs.
The murder of
The-
Alyssa Lockett.
Yes, of Lockett's. I was like, I wanted to say it correctly. And so we want to do a greenways audit. And I think she had mentioned, Abigail had mentioned she'd been talking with you and Vanderbilt. And so we're all trying to coordinate together so we can make it like educational and then do the work. And so that's something we are looking at, hopefully in the new year, and getting those scheduled, and working together.
I appreciate that. I think that'll be a neat template for sort of that experiential audit, like when you are on the Greenway, where do you feel unsafe because of this brush or lack of light or that kind of thing? So I think if they can get sort of a template for that, then that'll, all across all y'all's districts, folks can kind of pick that up and engage with that. So appreciate your leadership on that. Thank you.
Yes, and I'll work with everybody because we wanted to map out like, so if it was in certain districts, we'd invite the council members to join us if they would like. And third, I know everyone is thinking about the library, the main library, and so with that, I've been working closely, staying closely in contact with Director Luke. And so, they're still waiting on drawings and getting the permit, but
What are you waiting on? Say that again?
Oh, like drawings, sorry, let me see, there were some architectural issues, so they needed to get architectural drawings from Gresham Smith, so they're waiting on,
Drawings, got it.
drawings, sorry.
No, it's like drawings with an
Sorry.
L? What's happening? I don't
Sorry.
know. No worries, I got it.
And then once they get the permit, they said that the fireproofing company stated it would take about 40 days to finish that work. And then after that, the library staff would need 2 weeks to kind of move everything back. And so, we're keeping an eye really closely. I mean, I do think it's not gonna be till, later in Q1, of 26. But as soon as we have more concrete dates, I wanted to let you all know. And then it's also an opportunity, they'll need help shelving books. So working with Pro Tem, I'll see if that can be a community, a volunteer opportunity for us as council members to help the library get back open as soon as possible and help shelf books. So that'll be sometime, I think Q1 next year, so.
So basically, with all the smoke damage, now they have identified maybe some structural issues.
It's, it's
that
like one
as long as they're
section.
going to remedy or remediate that they're gonna kind of implement some of that, and that's gonna take some extra time, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, and because it was actually due to like when they built it a long time ago, they missed, I would say, like doing something like regarding the fire properly, and because of the garage, it like exposed it, I guess, when they were reviewing the entire building, and so that's what happened, yes.
I think every parent of young children in this city would volunteer to help read shelf books if you just tell them when to show up.
Yes,
Yes.
that sounds great.
Big happy shelf books reopening celebration day.
Yes.
All right, any, yes,
Can I
Chair?
just add one last
Yes,
thing,
absolutely.
is to everybody, we don't know what this winter's gonna bring. And if we have more rolling blackouts or anything like that, or somebody needs any utility expertise or questions or whatever, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'll come help in any district to doing anything you need or whatever.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think NES, I think over the last several years, started this term, I think is doing a much better job communicating with the community so that council members are not sort of a customer service communicator, distiller. They're now, I think, pushing out very kind of proactive communication. But, you know, I think they always welcome feedback, and they have great staff, and to your point, you know, with.
And the other thing, if something happens and you've got somebody just like an elderly home or something that powers out, you've gotta move people out and you need help moving, I'll be glad to volunteer to help, whatever you need.
Okay, thank you. Anything else that you as chairs want to elevate, bring to my attention, or share?
I'll add on the back of what Councilmember Hill said, that just, you mentioned it earlier, that study of AI and data center has a utilities element to it that I'd like for us to learn more about, in planning and infrastructure.
I have drafted an email when I was at a Tennessee Municipal League convening a district meeting. TVA was there presenting, and I did pose some questions at that time about data centers. They kindly responded about the number of applications that they have for data centers. So I was in a session at NLC talking about data centers, wanting again to sort of like leak up a PowerPoint with the TVA email to potentially forward to Margaret to share with other members. But yeah, it certainly has a broad range of implications. All cities are encountering it. Mega centers, micro centers, a whole lot of implications on the built environment, planning and zoning chair and public safety chair. And yeah, it was a huge component of the National League of Cities, and a whole lot of concern from a broad diversity of elected officials in cities of all sizes. So thank you for mentioning that, Chair. Staff, anything else? Go ahead, Chair.
I just have two things, because since we are hosting National League of Cities in
yes.
26,
Yep.
just let us know how we as the executive committee, or if you're gonna plan to have a working group, because I think all of us, like, attending various like conferences now, we know what's best practices, what's not. I think there's a lot to showcase in Nashville, Davidson County. So if NLC, I know they plan it all, but if we can have these offsites or visits, please let us know so we can be supportive and we can have the best conference and people wanna keep coming back to
Yes,
Nashville.
I appreciate that. We are, we are hosting November 19th to 21st, as well as it relates to travel and approved travel. The Congressional City Conference in DC is March 16th through 18th. I have found this, I have only attended this once, but I did it in my capacity as a member of the Transportation and Infrastructure Federal Advocacy Committee. So it was an opportunity at a, kind of sadly pivotal transition time of less funding directly into cities as in the previous administration. And that is a primary platform for NLC's advocacy, is that, cities can put this stuff on the ground, we're having some reversion to it going kind of to a state budget and being a pass-through, and we appreciate our state partners, but there's a little ebb and flow in that regard. But I did find sort of the nexus of federal policy with local policy, and then we will have a booth there to encourage people to sign up and come to Nashville. I think folks are really excited to come to Nashville. When I was in Salt Lake City, we had a little vest and a button asked me about Nashville, and pretty much everybody was like, we're coming next year. So folks were very excited to join us. And I think, yes, in your capacity as chair, you may have ideas, whether from a previous NLC attendance or participation, mobile workshops, right? Things that you think programmatically are particularly interesting that Nashville is doing. The infrastructure side of the house operationally, like thematically, what is a tour that other elected officials might want to go on to see the work that is happening in Nashville, in your capacities of chair, if you have thoughts in that regard. Patrick Hamilton did send a survey, I believe. Did that go to the entire body? Okay. So do look for that in your inbox he was kind of garnering those suggestions, but we can bring those to bear in the future, and I will inquire as to kind of what structure that might take. Okay. Staff, anything else you want to share that we need to know about? Okay. Thank you again, Margaret. We appreciate you. We wish you well in your next steps. We appreciate your service. Brian, we appreciate you as well. And with that, we are adjourned.